lot of people have been writing to me asking why I haven't covered this Seth Rich killing, the DNC guy who was shot down, and I haven't covered it because it didn't pass the smell test for me. That's as simple as that. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to believe that evil Democrats shot the guy down. He was shot down. There was a rumor going around that his computer, not a rumor, a private detective had said that he had been in contact with WikiLeaks, and so creating the impression that maybe he was killed by Hillary Clinton for leaking stuff to WikiLeaks and all this stuff. And I just didn't buy it. First of all, when private detectives come out in public, I always think, what does the private in private detective stand for? You know, it always makes me feel like maybe they're doing something self-aggrandizing. A lot of this has now been blown up. It turns out, you know, the family denies it. The guy was killed in an area where a lot of robberies had been taking place because it was blocked by construction, so there was no video cameras there and all this. So I just didn't want to go there because I just didn't think it was real. And you know, people get angry when I say this stuff. I'm not saying there's not a mystery that will be solved there, but I haven't heard anything yet that makes me want to bring this in. You do want to hear a story. Our pal Robert Spencer, who was on this show, did you hear about this? Remember we had Robert Spencer on who talks about, he went to Reykjavik, Iceland to talk about this, and of course it was a big, you know, all this crazy stuff. The you know, what a horrible guy he is for saying that Islam is dangerous, and there was all these protests, and the press is covering the protests, and he went out for dinner afterwards. But a lot of people showed up for his speech, and Iceland is a tiny country, so it was actually a big turnout for him. And then he went to a local restaurant with a friend to celebrate his success, and a guy came up to him, a young Icelander, called him by name, shook his hand and said he was a big fan, and talked to him for a little bit. And then another guy came up to him and likewise called him by name and then cursed him out, said, you know, F you, and walked away. And he got back to his hotel room and he started to get sick. And he realized he'd been poisoned. One of these guys, maybe both of them, had slipped something into his drink, Ritalin mixed with ecstasy. And he was sick for a long time. So the open-minded, you know, tolerant people of the, you know, you wonder why I talk about the left like this and what I think of them. And this is what I think of them. I mean, I do think that these guys are that bad. And when they do stuff like this, they really do it. And that's why I don't go for the conspiracies, because if you're constantly chasing after conspiracies, real stuff like Robert Spencer getting poisoned, you know, then you've lost your credibility and you can't talk about it anymore.